So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L. I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute, man. We getting a little rain today, so it's more like a little chill type of vibe, type of day, type of atmosphere. So if it's raining where y'all at, I got the perfect video for you. If it's not raining where you are, I have the perfect video for you. It's all-purpose weather. You know what I'm saying? This video is all-purpose weather because you're gonna come chill with. You're just gonna come chill with the fam anyway. So this video here, man, is 5 mysterious unsolved cases number 8. All right, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna check it out. We're gonna try to solve it. Maybe we can solve it and help this family out. All right, if you're new to the channel, man, hit the subscribe button, join the fam. Real quick, let's acknowledge these haters because they forever present. That's enough. Now run the likes up, baby. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Let's go.
Five mysterious unsolved cases, number 8. Relisha Rudd was just 8 years old when she was last seen in March 2014. For more than a year before her disappearance, Relisha, her mother, and her 3 younger brothers had been living in a homeless shelter in Washington, D.C., alongside hundreds of other families. 51-year-old Khalil Tatum worked at the shelter as a janitor. He had former felony convictions for breaking and entering, burglary, and larceny. Tatum had grown close to Relisha and her family over the course of their stay. Despite a policy that prohibited fraternization between the shelter staff and its residents, Relisha and Tatum spent time alone together, and Tatum gave her gifts, including a tablet. Relisha even referred to him as her goddaddy. Tatum spent time with other young girls staying at the shelter as well, but was never disciplined for this behavior. Toward the end of February 2014, Relisha's mother, Shamika Young, placed her into Tatum's care, allowing her daughter to leave the shelter and stay with him. Young was reportedly unhappy with the conditions at the shelter and may have been trying to give Relisha a better life. But once Tatum took over caring for the 8-year-old, she began to miss school at an alarming rate. When school officials spoke to Young about the absences, she told them Relisha was being cared for by the man she called Dr. Tatum. When they called Tatum, he said he was treating Relisha for neurological issues. By March 19th, Relisha had been absent from school over 30 times. When Child Services arranged to meet with Tatum, he never showed. It was at this time social workers learned that Tatum wasn't a doctor at all and contacted the police. Young told investigators that Tatum and her daughter were attending a medical conference in Atlanta and that she'd spoken to Relisha on the phone on March 17th. Young was convinced her daughter was safe and declined to file a police report, even though Tatum could not be reached on his cell phone and the DC apartment he had shared with his wife was empty. A missing persons investigation was launched. Security footage of Tatum and Relisha was discovered at the Holiday Inn Express in Northeast D.C. The two could be seen walking down a hallway at the hotel on February 26th. Both Tatum and Relisha look at ease in this footage. They're each carrying a shopping bag and walking at a leisurely pace, and nothing seems out of the ordinary. A passerby would likely assume they were father and daughter. Footage from March 1st showed the pair in a similar situation, walking to a hotel room at the Days Inn. This video is the last confirmed sighting of Relisha. When Tatum's wife, Andrea, was found shot to death in a Maryland hotel room, investigators ramped up their search for both he and Relisha. They learned that at the beginning of March, he had purchased large trash bags, a shovel, and quicklime. On March 31st...
Isn't the quicklime for like the smell? Like people be trying to like dead the smell? I think that's what it is, what it'd be used for, but it's so many different things that's done pissed me off so far. You know what I mean? We gotta be a little bit more protective of our daughters and our children, bro. Just to place them in somebody's care that just befriended you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I get it, situations call for different things, but still in all, you gotta keep them babies close to you, bro. You just can't let them out of your sight, or let alone let them go stay with somebody that you think you may possibly know. You've only known this person a short amount of time, you know? And that's easy for us to say sitting back and just watching this video. You know, don't know what the situation or circumstances called for, and what the mother was. She was already homeless or whatever, living in like a shelter, you know? But still, bro, I don't see myself being just so with a dude, because I would have already been, you know what I mean, looking at him crazy, like, why are you just hanging around all these kids? You're a grown adult. Why are you just around? I'd have been that type of cautious, pushback type of person.
First, Tatum's body was discovered at Kenilworth Park and Aquatic Gardens. He had shot himself with the same gun that killed Andrea. There was no trace of Relisha. Child Services was criticized for waiting so long to take action regarding Relisha's absences from school. The agency had been involved with her family before, finding that the home environment Young created was unsafe and that she had medically neglected at least one of her children. But it wasn't until Relisha vanished that Young lost custody of her kids. She was also investigated for obstruction of justice due to the statements she had made about where Relisha was, but was never charged. She rarely speaks to the media about Relisha's disappearance. In a statement to the Washington Post in 2014, Young said, "It's not my fault. I'm tired of laying my head down to get some rest, and I can't even reach out and grab my daughter." Relisha has never been seen or heard from again. Authorities believe she was likely killed by Tatum. His purchases in early March indicate he may have planned to get rid of human remains. In 2020, police searched a series of tunnels underneath the shelter, which Tatum would have had knowledge of as the janitor there. Nothing was found, and the young girl's fate is still unknown. Relisha Rudd would now be 15 years old.
That's heartbreaking, man. That's a different level of heartbreak to hear that, bro. You know what I mean? And if you don't think, and I be trying to, you know what I mean, drill that point in the and to a lot of people, man. If you don't think people will befriend you and don't have the best intentions, bro, you are sadly mistaken. Like, seriously, people befriend you just to do something to you or to your family.
Belgian backpacker Theo Ayez began his solo travels in Australia in late 2018. Nearly a year later, he disappeared a week before his flight back to Belgium. 18-year-old Theo arrived in Byron Bay, a popular tourist destination, on May 29, 2019. He checked into a single room at the Wake Up Hostel in Belangil. It was the final leg of his trip. He planned to spend a few days in Byron Bay before taking a bus to Sydney and flying home. On the evening of May 31, 2019, CCTV captured Theo and a new friend he'd met at the hostel buying some alcohol at a local liquor store. The footage indicates nothing out of the ordinary in Theo's behavior. The pair went back to the hostel, and later in the evening, Theo visited a bar called Cheeky Monkeys, located about a 20-minute walk from the hostel. Around 11 p.m., he left. It's unclear whether he was overly intoxicated, but witnesses have stated he was not drunk that night. CCTV footage of Theo leaving the bar provides the last known images of him before his disappearance. As he walked away from the bar, Theo used his phone to send several messages to friends, watch a YouTube video, and use Google Maps, presumably to navigate his way back to the hostel, but he never made it there. Cell phone records indicate that Theo actually walked in the opposite direction. He kept up a quick pace, following an unusual route down dark streets and through bushland to Tallow Beach. Throughout the journey, Theo was sending and receiving messages. After sending a WhatsApp message to his stepsister shortly before 1 a.m., his phone stopped emitting a signal. Theo's family called New South Wales police, reporting they hadn't heard from him. The same day, the hostel where Theo was staying contacted the police as well. His checkout date had been 3 days earlier, but he was nowhere to be found, and his belongings were still in his room. Theo's parents, Laurent Hayes and Vinciane Delforge, flew to Australia to search for their missing son. Helicopters, divers, rock climbers, dogs, and drones were all used in the extensive hunt for Theo, but to no avail. A month later, a baseball cap was found by searchers at Tallow Beach. It resembled the one Theo was wearing when he was last seen, and his family believe it's his. The official search was called off shortly after this discovery. The final signal that could be traced from his cell phone placed Theo in the area of Cape Byron on June 1st. Authorities theorize that he may have fallen from the cliffs near the lighthouse on Byron Bay, but there's no explanation as to why he traveled away from his hostel to this remote area in the middle of the night. In 2019, the backpacker Theo was seen buying alcohol with, Antoine Van Latem, told the Daily Telegraph about the night Theo disappeared. He described their trip to the bar. "We went out together after leaving the hostel, and we arrived with some other people from the hostel, and then everyone talked with other people. An hour later, he was kicked out of Cheeky Monkeys." It's not clear why Theo was asked to leave the bar. Some theories suggest he was overly intoxicated, perhaps as the result of a spiked drink, and simply got lost that night.
Scary things about drinking out of town, bro. Scary things about drinking out of town. Or in foreign places, fam. Somebody putting something in your drink, following you. You don't know the people. You don't know if anybody watching you or anything, setting you up, scheming on you, whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever. You gotta be on alert, bro. You gotta be more responsible when you out of town, away from home, and you don't know your surroundings. Gotta be on point.
Others wonder if he had an altercation of some kind inside Cheeky Monkeys, which did have a bit of a rough reputation. Theo's
Don't be drinking at places that have the name Cheeky Monkeys. That just seems suspect.
whereabouts remain completely unknown, but his family maintains hope that he is alive. They even wonder if he could be being held against his will. His father, Laurent, told media outlets, "As long as we have not found his body, we keep hope."
So glad they didn't play that interview of his pops talking, bro. You could see him breaking down. And you know what I mean? He was, that would have been rough to hear.
On the evening of November 3rd, 2018, 40-year-old mother of 5, Tamla Horsford, attended an adult slumber party with other local mothers in Cumming, Georgia. By the following morning, Tamla would be dead, and nobody would be able to explain why. On the morning of November 4th, Tamla's body was discovered in the backyard of Jeannie Myers' home. Myers had invited a group of mothers who met through the Youth Football League over to celebrate her birthday, offering to let them spend the night to avoid drinking and driving. Though the party was planned for a group of 9 women, 2 men also stayed at the house that night. Myers' boyfriend, Jose Barrera, and Tom Smith, the husband of another attendee. Barrera and Smith hung out in the finished basement, while the women socialized upstairs. Tamla drank tequila and went out to the back porch balcony to smoke throughout the night, mostly cigarettes, but also marijuana until Myers asked her to stop. At some point, the men came back upstairs and the group played Cards Against Humanity. Around 11:30 p.m., some guests began to head home, while those who planned to stay the night got ready for bed. The last person to see Tamla alive was Bridget Fuller, who left the house at 1:47 a.m. when her husband picked her up. She told police that she and Tamla were the only two people left downstairs, and that Tamla was eating gumbo soup and planned to smoke another cigarette before going to bed. The home's security system registered the back door opening, closing, and opening for a final time at 1:57 a.m. At 8:45 a.m., Tamla was seen on the lawn 14 feet below the porch, face down and unresponsive by Myers' aunt, who lived at the house. Jeannie Myers and Jose Barrera called 911 at 8:59 a.m. The homeowner, Myers, could be heard guessing that Tamla fell off the balcony, which had a nearly 4-foot-tall railing. Barrera told the 911 operator that Tamla wasn't breathing and described a small cut on her wrist, suggesting she may have tried to hurt herself.
Hey, what's going on?
We had people over last night. We were drinking. Most of us went to bed. One of them stayed on the balcony. She was drinking, and we just went outside, and she's laying face down in the backyard. It looks like I'm guessing maybe she fell off the balcony, but she's stiff.
Okay, is she breathing?
I don't know if she's face down.
Okay, how old is she?
At 41. Here, hold on.
Hey, this is Jose Barrera.
Hey, have y'all checked to see if she's breathing?
She's not moving one bit. She's not breathing.
Okay.
I just try to assess her, touch her. She's completely face down in the yard. She is stiff.
Okay. Do you see any blood or anything from where she fell?
I don't know if I should move her over. I mean, she is completely face down.
Okay. I mean, can you just check and see if she's breathing? If she's not breathing and you know she's gone, then just leave her where she's at. If she, okay.
Yeah, I'd have been like, I don't really want to touch her, bro. I already told y'all she's stiff. You know what I mean? He seemed strikingly very calm, but I don't know. I could be just reaching for something at this point. I don't know. I ain't really got too many signals on what could have possibly happened.
1 minute. You know, like my girlfriend said, people were over last night. She was her birthday party. We're not the woman that we believe to be deceased, but it's my girlfriend's birthday party. Instead of having everybody go out, she had everyone stay in. And she was the last one I saw before everybody was typically put off to bed. And she was the last one in the kitchen. She was just either waiting around for a ride or waiting until the morning.
Okay. Was she there with anyone?
Okay, so, all right, we're getting several different stories. A little something to work with, but not much. He's saying something different than the last girl that left. Last girl said that she was down in the basement area and that she was thinking about going out and smoking another cigarette. You know what I mean? He's saying she was in the kitchen area and she was waiting on a ride. I'm a little bit confused right now.
Someone else?
I don't believe anybody was. My girlfriend has cameras here on the back deck that we can check.
Okay.
That I think would have caught the incident if she fell from here. Again,
That's good. So that may absolve him from being, you know what I mean, any type of a suspect. They need to check the cameras to check.
True, I don't know. It's hard to say if she fell from the deck or if she was already downstairs. She was the only smoker here, and I'm sorry.
Barrera mentioned on the call that the house had security cameras and were pointed at the backyard, but they were later found to have dead batteries. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office reported multiple blunt force injuries in Tamla's autopsy. Noting a high blood alcohol level in her system, investigators agreed she had probably accidentally fallen off the balcony to her death. The other partygoers reported going to bed before Tamla. Tamla's friends and family were suspicious of the story. Whatever had happened to her, it seemed she had been alone. The family asked for an independent autopsy from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. This autopsy found that Tamla had suffered more severe injuries than might be expected from an accidental fall. In addition to blunt force trauma to her head, neck, and torso, she also had cuts on her face, hand, and legs, and a laceration to her heart's right ventricle. Her right wrist was dislocated, her neck was broken, and there were 4 types of hemorrhages in her skull and brain. A blood alcohol level of 0.238 was found in the GBI's toxicology report, in addition to traces of an anxiety drug and THC. 2 months after Tamla's death, Barrera, the man who reported it to 911, was fired from his job as a Forsyth County court officer. For unknown reasons, he had tried multiple times to illegally access the official incident report. Despite the unusual circumstances, Tamla's death was ruled an accident and the case was closed on February 20th, 2019.
Why would he be illegally trying to, unless he's trying to verify something, that maybe he's in the clear or something? Yeah, now I'm thinking back now, he did sound a little bit suspicious, you know what I mean, with the calmness and stuff like that. And maybe he used we got cameras already knowing the batteries were dead. So it's like, and he threw the scent off, but now the scent is back on him again. You know what I mean? Oh, we on him now.
The Horsford family hired attorney Ralph Fernandez to continue looking into Tamla's death. On June 5, 2020, Fernandez informed Tamla's husband, Leander, that his team's findings suggested the incident had not been an accident, but a homicide. Tamla's injuries indicated she could have been involved in a struggle, and the investigation had left much to be desired. The scene had been poorly preserved. Autopsy photos were never released to Fernandez and were possibly not taken at all, and witness statements that conflicted with one another had not been followed up on. A week later, Forsyth County Sheriff Ron Freeman asked the GBI to reopen the case. The agency agreed but did not provide a timeline for their investigation. Over 2 years later, it is still unclear whether Tamla Horsford died as a result of a terrible accident or something more sinister.
That's crazy, man. We said the same thing about the conflicting stories from the last lady to leave, and then the boyfriend who said what he saw. They were conflicting. We said that. And the way they mess up a scene, man, like they act like they ain't been doing this job. Why would you mess up a scene like that? I don't understand it, fam. It's like they don't be wanting to find the killer sometime.
On Thursday, December 7th, 2000, 22-year-old Trevor Dealey vanished after attending his office Christmas party in Dublin, Ireland. Trevor had worked for Bank of Ireland Asset Management for about a year and had recently returned from a vacation in Alaska at the time of his disappearance. The party took place at various locations throughout the night, beginning at a bar called Copperface Jack's, moving to the Hilton Hotel and landing at nightclub Buck Whaley's. Trevor walked out of Buck Whaley's alone at around 3:25 in the morning, but instead of returning to his apartment, he went to his office, where security let him in. CCTV video from the building that night shows a man dressed in black waiting outside before Trevor arrived. As Trevor approaches the gate, the two briefly speak. While inside the office, Trevor checked his email, gathered some things he needed for the next day's shift, and spoke to Carl Pender, a colleague who was working the night shift. Trevor left the building at 4:03 carrying an umbrella. The man in black was no longer outside. Trevor called a friend as he walked toward his home and left a voicemail the friend described as normal. This was the last time anyone heard from him. Trevor was not reported missing until the following Monday. His absence at work was written off because of the party the night before, and his roommates were out of town over the weekend. Once it was clear Trevor was unaccounted for, his family and friends circulated thousands of leaflets, hung posters throughout Dublin, and went door to door asking for information. Investigators discovered that at 4:14 on the morning he went missing, Trevor appeared on CCTV on the corner of Bagot Street Bridge and Haddington Road, still walking in the direction of his apartment. This is the last known footage of Trevor Deely. The footage also shows a man in black passing through the area only 30 seconds behind him. Investigators believe this is the same man who spoke to him outside of the bank. This individual has never come forward, and Trevor has never been seen again. Was the man in black a stranger? Was he waiting outside the bank for Trevor specifically? Was he the same person seen following behind in the final footage? Or could Trevor have simply fallen into the Grand Canal or the River Dodder as he made his way home through the rain and wind? A new investigation into Trevor's disappearance was launched in December 2016, with a €100,000 reward offered for information. In August 2017, a police informant told investigators Trevor had been murdered by a known criminal involved in drugs and prostitution in the area. That theory, however, has never been proven, and no arrests have ever been made.
I didn't get, I think he knew that dude. I think that dude, he knows him. Because normally, if you walk up to a gate or a place of business and somebody's standing there, it alarms you. So I didn't get the alarming type of vibe from him, right? And they stand there and they spoke. On some, I don't know, haven't heard from you in a long time or something like that. But even when he shut the gate, if you go back and look at it, because I was paying attention to that really, really close. When he shut the gate, if somebody startles you, walks up on you, and you're apprehensive and standoffish, and you really don't know this person, when you shut that gate, when you unlock the gate to go inside and you shut it, you're gonna stand there for a second to make sure that person walks off, or you looking at him, paying attention, or you looking back. He didn't do none of that, which gave me the vibe of maybe he possibly knew him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's weird, but I don't think he fell in no canal or nothing. I think that dude who was following behind him got something to do with it.
On September 22, 2019, the naked body of 15-year-old Chan Yin Lam was found floating in the sea off Yau Tong, Hong Kong. A preliminary autopsy found no lacerations, contusions, or sign of any other assault. Investigators suspected Chan's death was a suicide, and her body was quickly cremated. But the incident would soon become the center of a conspiracy theory-fueled mystery. On the afternoon of September 19th, Chan separated from a group of friends at Mei Fu Station in the Lai Chi Kok area of Hong Kong. She sent a final message on her phone telling some friends she intended to return home, then seemed to vanish into thin air. Chan's family reported her disappearance to police 2 days later. Her phone and some stationery were found on the ground in Tiu Keng Leng railway station. Surveillance footage was soon located that had captured her movements. Chan had left the campus of the youth college at the vocational training school where she was taking classes and walked barefoot in the direction of the nearby waterfront. After Chan's body was recovered, social media theories emerged alleging that she had been murdered by government officials for supporting and participating in the 2019 Hong Kong protests. The protests were demonstrations against a bill that would have allowed extradition of Hong Kong residents to face the legal systems of mainland China and other jurisdictions. Chan had reportedly handed out protest leaflets on one occasion, and friends of hers confirmed that she had attended demonstrations. Internet sleuths began theorizing that police officers had assaulted Chan and thrown her body into the sea. Chan's mother stated she believed her daughter committed suicide and may have even been suffering from psychosis. Chan had reportedly told her mother that she heard voices. She had also been struggling in her relationship with her boyfriend, who was in jail. In early August, Chan was captured on video in a train station, appearing extremely distraught, allegedly because of an issue relating to her boyfriend. Surrounded by concerned strangers and eventually police officers, she's crying and yelling as she sits on the floor of the station. Reportedly as a result of her protest participation, Chan had been sent to a juvenile detention center on August 12, 2019, and had stayed there until September 11th. While there, she was charged with property damage after tearing apart some papers. She was due to appear in court for the charge on September 20th and was expected to face a separate charge of assaulting a police officer on September 26th. She had allegedly kicked an officer at Tong Fuk Correctional Institution, where her boyfriend was imprisoned. Despite these details of Chan's struggles in the weeks leading up to her death, doubters were very vocal on social media. Students at Chan's school demanded the release of CCTV footage from the day she was last seen alive. The school eventually made public 16 video clips that show Chan moving around the campus for over an hour on September 19th. In the first few clips, Chan is still wearing her shoes. She appears to remove them after climbing a stairwell and coming back down the stairs barefoot. She's also seen reading from some papers inside an elevator. Chan appears distracted and possibly distraught, and she moves around the school without a clear destination. The teenager fidgets and walks aimlessly.
Yeah, something not right with her, bro. It's coming off real like weird.
On 3 separate occasions, she pushes the call button for an elevator and wanders off before it arrives. In the final clip, Chan is seen walking outside on the street, presumably to the seaside. Some have suggested that the girl in the CCTV footage is not Chan, but an imposter or actress participating in a cover-up of her murder. Armchair detectives have noticed a difference in appearance between the young woman in the videos and photos of Chan seen on her social media accounts and missing poster. Many point out a difference in her eyebrows specifically. They also find it suspicious that Chan's clothes managed to go missing between the time she was last seen and when her body was found in the sea. Interestingly, Chan was an accomplished swimmer. She'd even won swimming awards in the past, which cast doubt on the likelihood that she would choose to die by drowning. Despite the suspicion that surrounds Chan's death, her family and friends have positively identified her in the released clips, and those closest to her seem to accept that she simply took her own life. Sadly, it looks like we will never know for sure what really happened to Chan Yin Lam. Which of these unsolved cases did you find the most mysterious? Do you have theories of your own about what really happened to any of these?
Tamala and Relisha was crazy, and Theo was just unexplainable. Lady falling off the balcony after all them people were there. I don't know. It's just the boyfriend getting fired. The boyfriend getting fired. Yeah, all of that. Somebody knows something. Why are you still trying to access those records? Didn't make sense. A mom living in a shelter, befriending some janitor, letting her daughter go stay with him. I'll never understand that one. I'm sorry. Not trying to judge nobody and how you parent. I can never do that. You know what I'm saying? But I just would never understand that at all. So y'all get at me in the comment section, man. This was extremely crazy, these cases, fam. And be careful who you trust. I'm out. Y'all stay solid. Hey.